Guess who's back? Back again. Little Snoop. Be coming in. You already know that he's back, that he's back, that he's back. You already know what it is. This is Little Snoopy on the track 1-2. I have to talk. I have to say what's on my mind. Listen, we are going to be talking to this young gentleman right now. I have a little interview with him. We're going to be talking about racial equalities and racism in America that is going on right now in the present, that has been going on in the past, and that you may see as we grow as a community in the future. How you deal with it, how he's dealt with it personally in the life, and how he's trying to spread his poetry throughout the world, and how he's trying to send a personal message to our black communities. So we're going to call him up right now so we can do this one-on-one, back and forth banter. It's not an argument. We're never arguing on this podcast. It's always a debate. It's always trying to be more knowledgeable about a situation that you may know, but you can always learn more for. Nobody's an expert on anything. They can say they are, but they're learning just as hard as the next person that may not be labeled as an expert. Learning never stops in this world. You can never have too much knowledge. You could be a smartass, but you can never have too much knowledge. There's a difference. I'm a smartass and a hard ass, so, you know. My mama hit me upside my head a couple times and popped me on my mouth, saying, you need to stop being a smartass. I said, I'm not being smart, I'm just getting here. But anyway, let me go ahead and call this man. I'm about to do it right now. Yo, what's up, man? How you feeling? You live right now on No B-Lines. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
All right. You? Man, I've been feeling great. Just doing this work, trying to be better, being myself and being a better person for my significant other and for the others around me.
Man, I feel that 100%.
You ready to do this?
Yes, sir. Let's get it on.
All right, go ahead and explain who you are, your name, what you do as a person personally, how you're trying to influence the younger generation, the older generation, and our current generation right now in the poetry that you write, and how you're trying to spread the message.
That's another one. My name is Judah, man. I'm from Philly, and my whole goal as a person, honestly, and this has been ever since I was young, was really just to make the world not necessarily, a better place, but just to help life be more enjoyable. Because I realized growing up, there's a lot of people suffering, myself included, and it's really hard to smile through the pain. And one of the best ways to do that is through, poetry, music, food. So those are the things that I really enjoy doing. I cook for people. Sometimes I'm working on building my own business. And recently I've decided, and because music for me has been more of a hobby as of late, and then me trying to make any money off of it. But I decided that at this time in our generation, we honestly really do need more people in the music industry that's leaders, not just in, making money, but also, what you're actually talking about with your content. Like everybody just talking about shooting and selling drugs, and while that's cool, not really, because it's kind of, degrading, but everybody got to get how they live, and I understand that, and I want to change the way people live through my music, if you feel me, you know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm wondering, what exactly genre would you place your music? Would you say it's kind of like, I know you say poetry, but would you put it as like, I count Chance the Rapper as an acid rapper, so he's going to have some flamboyant background, he's going to be hyped the whole time, or is it going to be some smooth stuff, like Common will drop some knowledge on you, some Nas, or is it going to be like that hardcore East Coast, Biggie, that wilding out with the smooth bump of the West Coast? What exactly are you trying to push?
It's gonna be a little bit of everything, man. Okay. Because I am from the East Coast, but I'm also from the West Coast. Because I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, West Side, right down the bottom. And then when I was like 15, I moved to California. So I really do have, just from that, kind of an eclectic taste and my music and my influences. Like I listened to a lot of Tupac and Biggie growing up and 50 Cent, but also at the same time, like the Delphonics, Black Thought, Most Def, Talib Kweli, those, Andre 3000. So I got a lot of kind of old school musical influences, and I don't ever let really like staying in a genre limit my creativity. If I'm feeling rocky, I'm going rocky. If I'm feeling smooth, I'm going smooth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
So
I
it
feel
really just
like,
depends on how I'm feeling and what I'm trying to convey.
yeah, because I know some artists don't want to deter from what their fans are used to. So they may be like, oh, he's all hardcore bump music. So if he hits with some smooth stuff, they're not going to like it. Or just
Yeah,
like
like I
Lil
think that's
Wayne,
dumb.
we all know Lil Wayne, he has a whole genre. He don't really care what he does. He had
Yeah,
rock,
like
he
Wayne,
had
but
rock,
Wayne
he
can do
had
anything because
skateboarding,
he
he
puts
does
his heart
anything.
into it. What he
Exactly.
does, like She Will growing up, that's probably the hardest, like softest song you can ever listen to. With him and Drake on that bitch, it's like you can't lie, right? And then you got so many other bangers that's just gonna fucking blow your face out your goddamn trunk. So I got mad respect for Wayne.
Yeah, he does know how to include everybody, I would say, to what he's feeling. He doesn't really, he cares about his fans, but he's like, if you're a dedicated fan, you know you're going to be feeling this some way.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing that I think is important is that, like, as an artist or as art in general, it's supposed to reflect life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
And what's
and
actually going on.
exactly in your personal experiences with what's going on, whether it was the present or the past, you can't speak on somebody else's life that you don't know. You can't
That
speak
you
like
don't know and that you haven't lived.
exactly because
Exactly.
they said a lot of these rappers. I know you're aware of it. They talking about the hood. Y'all ain't even grow up in the hood. Matter of fact, you had a middle class family in a nice
For
neighborhood. How
real.
the hell
For
you
real.
gonna
Talking
talk
about
about
some
the hood like
popping
you
this,
know?
selling this. Like, you mean?
You ain't
But,
never had to struggle.
everybody want to be hard. Everybody want to be hard because it's a trend. Like, people see, like, oh, Lil Baby and Gunna, and everybody want to be them. Everybody want to be Gucci Man. Everybody can't be Gucci Man. And this is why niggas got to stay in their lane. Or grow their lane and do something different, but actually do it and do it with a purpose. Like, I feel like everybody's just trying to mimic this trend of, oh, like, I don't really care for no reason, or, oh, I'll just get fucked up all day. Now, mind you, I got problems, so oftentimes I get fucked up. You know what I mean? But I still have a conscience, and as a conscious man, a conscious black man in America, shit, nigga, it's hard. Like, I'm gonna tell you that, because you're aware of so much, but you can change so little.
Yeah, it can be hard out there. And I know
Yeah.
from personal experience, I may not as live because I'm from Chicago. So living in
Okay.
Arizona, I can see a huge difference on how people approach different situations and how you can see, like on a bigger scale, let's take the George Floyd incident right now. So when in Chicago, I noticed that there are more outspoken. It's like half and half. You have outspoken alt right people who are
Mm-hmm.
walking the streets because obviously the KKK is in Indiana. That's their main hub. So getting to Chicago
Yep.
really ain't nothing to do. So you're seeing them on the other side of where the Black Lives Matter protests are, and to kind of swing the media into a bad way that they're not protesting peacefully, you can easily put somebody in that predicament who's not really about the protest, and now they got these looters and rioters
I mean, and you know
going
the crazy
around.
thing, bro? You know the crazy thing? If the government has been paying people to do this and they're doing it now, what the fuck have they been doing for the past 400 years since we got here? You know what I mean? like that's the point that I'm trying to make. It's just like, yes, there's a lot of fucked up shit going on right now, but it's very much the stem of a larger problem. And that's what I think people are starting to understand. And that's kind of what I mentioned in like the song, which is the intro to my project. It's our time. Like, it's our time to kind of make a change and realize what's going on and do something about it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I understand that 100%. And what brought you the passion to write songs like that as you were growing up, or when you got inspired to start, like, you know what, I'm gonna start putting my thoughts onto paper?
I mean, honestly, it was like my pops and my uncle. Because growing up, my uncle was actually a Christian rapper. So I got introduced to kind of like rap like really early, like being not necessarily like in it, but I went to like one of his big concerts and was in like one of his little music videos. It was just cool. And I like the way he expressed himself. And even though like I'm not the biggest Christian and I'm finding my faith the way that I want to, you know what I mean?
But you said you would
I've always looked up to that.
Okay.
And the person that he was, because he's always had very good morals. Like I feel like for the most part, I had at least a good raising. Even though I was in a hood, even though, I was poor as fuck, I at least had a father who was alive, even though he wasn't always there, my mom, and my uncle and my grandma, at least somewhere, in the city, and they wasn't on no nut shit, on no drugs, fucked up, or nothing like that, you know what I mean? So, just having that, I was aware of different things that a lot of people, my classmates growing up, or even people now, just aren't aware of, because you have conversations, you talk about things.
And are you still close to those people now?
Hell yeah. You gotta keep family close, man. That's the only thing that matters. I mean, I don't talk to him all the time, I'll be honest. I might call my uncle maybe not even once a month. But, at the end of the day, it's all love. He's busy doing his thing. He's a teacher now in Philadelphia, in the public school system, trying to get back to his community still. Like, you gotta respect that.
Oh, all day. I always respect when you give back to the community that built you in the first place. I get that 100%. Because even though I'm not from the hood, I'm not from the raunchy part, I'm not from what they may call ghetto, I'm from like the north suburbs of Chicago. Like I can't say, oh yeah, I'm from the north suburbs, and they be like, which one? I can name any of them in the world, but you're still not gonna know where I'm from.
Suburbs, because you're from there.
Exactly. I'm like, you're not just like if you say a suburb from Philadelphia, I'm not gonna know where it is. I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, where is that? So that's why you just
like
the major part. You just gotta say I'm from Chicago. That's it. That's all you need to know. But I also got that.
There'd be so many people I've met that be like, oh, I'm from Philly, and I'll be like, oh really? How long was you there? When we was like, yeah, West Philly, and can't name a damn street, and I'll be like, oh, okay, you're from Philly, right? But some people just, like I was saying earlier, want to really be hard and claim that they're the hoodest motherfucker around, because that's a trend, and everybody want to be trendy. But me, that's never really been my twist, because I was raised different. Like, I'm like, I don't know. That's just me.
You want to be different and not be a part of the same statistic like everybody else. Yeah, I get
I'm not
that.
trying to be like everybody else. That shit whack.
Exactly, and that's why a lot of people give Hack to a lot of people don't know they gave Hack to Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper been around for a long time. He came out in like 2013.
My man Shamar showed me him in 2013 or 14. I remember I was like a sophomore in high school.
Like I heard his first song in 2011, and I was in Chicago. I was like, oh, I like this dude, and then he started blowing up. I'm like, y'all late. This boy was going off.
Acid rap though, that shit was hard.
I'm like, y'all giving this man the credit, and he's still giving back to his community. I'm like, you can't knock this man.
Like, that's why I like Nip. That's why I like Nipsey. That's why I like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Kanye West.
You can't fake it.
Even though some people may say Kanye went crazy, he did, but that happens in life. Sometimes shit fucks with your head and you snap. Like, it just happens. But he's rebounding, and he's going through things in life that only he and God know. So I can understand why he wasn't really saying nothing. He was walking a protest, but he was there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely. And what's your main message you would say your poetry hits on?
See, now, that's the funny part. I would say the main message that my poetry hits on is trying to enjoy life, like I said, because that's my overall goal. Now, sometimes it's coming in some ways, and sometimes it's coming in others, but it's all a real perspective of life. So sometimes it's going to be some, maybe some fucked up shit that I'm going through, like, how some girl that you were talking to maybe every day disappears and you don't know what the fuck happens. Or shit, you're just going through school and you want to have fun. You know what I'm saying? Because I've done that. I've been in college and for an entire year just fucking walked around, smoking around the campus, talking to people, getting lit. Like, it's while at the same time doing scholarly stuff and learning, expanding, my mind and my knowledge. So it's like I've got a lot of different experiences, and I'm like, I just got a lot of different experiences, so I put that all into my music, really.
And how many have you gotten done so far?
Songs? Well, I've been making music since, like, 2016 is when I bought, like, all my equipment and really started, like, going at it. Like, I recorded in other people's studios a lot that year. Paid a couple people, but then 2016 I spent like $3,000, $4,000 and bought all my shit, and I still got it. I still make music from my room now. I had to learn engineering on the way, which was a bitch at first. I didn't feel like doing it, but just through trial and error I've gotten better. So now I actually mix, and I've actually worked as an engineer out here in Las Vegas with my man's Gorgeous, who has his own radio show and stuff. Just Gorgeous Music, shouts out to them. They really doing their thing. They got a lot of different locations all throughout the states. But yeah, so that was another thing that I think that came out of this. Like, now I know how to engineer, and that's a skill. That just started from me writing. You know what I mean?
Oh, you always got to learn as you go, because you can never have, I just said this in the beginning, you can never have too much knowledge. You're always expanding.
Yeah.
They tried to say, oh, I'm an expert at this. I'm like, you could call yourself an expert, but I bet you're still trying to learn everything that's coming out. I'm like, you're never an expert on everything.
The one thing my pops always told me is that the key is to keep educating yourself. Now, that's literally an acronym. Keep educating yourself. You unlock doors. You unlock opportunities just through having the knowledge, knowing about shit. Because, I don't know, that's just the way the world works. The more you know, the more you can do.
Because if you don't know, you're going to be behind. And once you fall behind, it's harder to catch up than stay afloat.
Well, hell yeah, because we start off behind. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, we start off in fucked up schools. We start off with fucking half the shit that most of the people in the U.S. got. You know what I mean? So it's just like, we gotta, if we're going to progress as a people, at least start educating ourselves like a lot of people are saying now.
And a lot of people are also saying that, oh, it's irrelevant to try to do it now since we're so far behind, or I don't feel like doing it. I'll let somebody else just tell me, or it comes on the internet.
That's fucking stupid. That's
people,
what I have to say to that.
Or they won't accept it of the past, of what they've done. So they're so far gone and brainwashed that they don't want to accept like what an actual historian book. There are books out there written by a white man that explains the continent of Africa and him living there for a year, and he says how developed it is, and he's being honest, but nobody wants to believe him. It's like, what's going on?
What's crazy is I had a roommate that didn't even know Egypt was in Africa. I almost slapped that man when he told me that. But it's just like, people are misguided in what they think is really the truth. So they don't really know what's up, and they don't really care to know what's up because it don't really benefit them in life. Like, all people really care about is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You know what I mean? Like, the same things that they've been pumping. And it's probably because it's so much, like, advertisements and stuff just going on. Just promoting it constantly is what we see just growing up in our face all day, care about. That's all people really care about.
And ignorance only pushes more ignorance, and that's the biggest problem.
Amen. And you preach it.
I tell that to everybody. I'm like, if you're not willing to educate yourself just a little bit, hell, you could read something once a month. Just once a month. Just read something new that you don't know. Just read a fact. I don't care what it is. Just educate yourself in some way. You'll be right there with everybody else. You'll be right there, educate, make you think. That's all I want you to do is think. Think about the situation, how it came about. Like, there's a lot of people saying that you'll have the Christians around saying that, oh, Christianity was around black people and black people were Christians. I'm like, I ain't say that. But you also got to think of the fact that they stole you from a country and brought you here, and there is literally a man who wrote a whole book on how to enslave a person's mind, or more
Oh
specifically, the
yeah,
Negro mind.
and the Willie Lynch theory and how to
It's like
break us down, and I believe that that's still going on
they still
in
got to
our
do it
system
because that's
because
the
that's
only
what
way
it
to
was
control.
designed off of, bro.
It's like
Like,
he wrote a book because he knew it was a hard job, number one, and he tried it on other people. It's like the easiest way. How do you control? You control them by two ways. One, once you get in their mind, this goes for anybody. You attack the mind first. Once you break down the mind, the body will follow. Because once you break the spirit, the mind is already gone. That is the
hell yeah.
two. That's really his only two arguments right there. Like
No,
you take.
this is something that I believe in. Willpower needs to come back to the people, bro. Like, I believe that people's wills are so tired and fighting for such a long, like, you can feel it in your spirit. Like, and this is something that I've tried talking to my grandma about. It's just like, I felt like there's been a battle going on, but I don't really know what it is, you know? Just for like the past 3 years of my life, probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just indescribable. Like, I just felt like there's been a battle going on. And what that is just like, that's willpower, because I have the will to change something that I see no one else wants to do. You know what I mean? And no one else has the will for it. So sometimes I just feel like saying, hey, fuck it, I'm gonna just smoke and fucking play video games then. Shit. You know? But I know at the end of the day, in my heart, I want to change something. So that's what's on my mind.
And it's the hardest thing because you can't shake it. It stays there forever. It's like until you do it, I'm going to sit right here every day in your mind, and you know you need to do it.
But that's what it feels like being conscious as a black man in fucking America right now.
It's a lot
Like,
of
straight
work.
up.
It's a lot to carry. It's awesome to be black. We're not complaining,
Yeah.
but it's a lot
I love it.
to carry.
And that's why I feel like it's really our time. Because, yes, all right, given the fact that there's 50 states protesting right now and also 6 to 8 different countries, I think there's a couple more joining, like, you got to give that recognition, and I don't think people are paying attention to that. Like, that's for a reason. You know what I mean?
Indeed
Like,
it is.
this is literally a global scale. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, yes, it took the fact that, you know, George Floyd happened to look just like, you know, 5K and grew up with him. That maybe that's the reason that everybody's paying attention to it, you know, at such a big scale, because you could say, all right, well, why weren't, you know, people being this mad when Breonna Taylor is like, yes, we were protesting then too. Yes, we were protesting black on black crime too, you know, but it's just like it takes more people, and people don't realize that until someone rich is, or someone who is a famous basketball player is now on the forefront of that movement and is being relentless. And that's why I respect the fuck out of him, because he ain't taking no for an answer. And that's the type of energy we need right now.
This indeed it really is. Because there's a saying by Malcolm X. It's like, it's not that we're outnumbered. It's just that we're unorganized. We're just out organized. If you put all our numbers together, a lot of people don't know this. There are more, we're called minorities, but we're not the minority anymore in the world. But there are more minorities out in this world than there are white Europeans or white Americans. Whatever you want to call them, they're white.
I mean, and that's low-key probably the way it's always been, because the world has, from original days, been with people of color. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's just my thoughts about it. But they've said, oh, we're minorities because rich ones in the government happen to be the white people, and they're the majority in that government. So when they are including people, you have to think, when our country was started, we were 3/5 of a person. You know what I mean? We were slaves until we were 3/5 of a person, and then we became people. You know, and we were able to not get arrested, and now we're still getting shots in the street just for fucking being here. But we were 3/5 of a person. So when you talk about majority, minority, and government politics, and that's what.
And it's a shame you got to talk about it like that. Just like with the people who say all lives matter, I'm like, okay, you could take that. And people have shown different ways on how to explain the difference between black lives and all lives. Like, you could put it this way. This is just a question for the white people because all minorities have to do this. All nationalities. You just ask them this question. When you talk to your son or daughter about life, they ask general questions about life like any kid does. They're going to ask you random questions. Did you ever have to stop and think on giving them the conversation on what to do if you're approached by a policeman or if you get pulled over? Did you ever have to have that certain conversation? Like, I'm pretty sure no white person had to have that conversation unless it was, you just call me or say I want a lawyer. I don't think nobody that isn't of color had to get that conversation like that with deep meaning on what to do. If this happens, do this. If you do that, you got to do this.
Honestly,
it's like,
I saw it more than I had the conversation, to be honest. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, I've just been in a car with my mom, my brother, it's been me, fucking my pop, just anybody that's black, and we get pulled over. And just for nothing. Or maybe, Philly stroll through a traffic light or something like that. Like, just some bullshit. Or through a stop sign. Like, bullshit. And they just want to be dicks, like, for no reason. That's why I really don't fuck with the cops. And I'm for that defund the police movement. Because I don't think they totally need to be abolished, but I definitely think they got too much money and they too trigger happy.
They're too trigger happy and they're not educated just like everything else, which is the problem.
And you know what's crazy, bro? I was watching Don't Mess with the Zohan last night. And you know that scene at like the end of the movie where they're trying to get the people to burn down or fuck with like the buildings because they want to build that mall.
Yeah.
All of the rich white people in that boardroom. So they call the rednecks or like the country people, and they're like, oh yeah, we hate, and they're making fun of it in the movie, but it's like one of those true things, like we hate, black people, brown people, Mexicans, and then it had like this list of like 20 other different things. It was so funny to me, but it was like, that movie came out like at least 8 to 10 years ago, and then you got those same people doing that same thing here at these protests today. Like, that's what I thought was funny when I seen that. I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, they be putting us in the game in all these movies, but everybody just think it's a movie.
Just like comedians been saying it for years, but everybody takes it as a joke. I'm like, some of these ain't jokes.
Yeah, that's just the truth. Like, some of these things are made, and that's what I really like about art, is you have the ability to express that just in like the depth. Like, you can see it and just think it's a good movie, but because it was crafted so artfully, there's actually a message in there that if you are awake enough and you pay attention, you can actually see.
All you gotta do is take that time out your day, just one time out your day.
To think about it. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, I just go and sit and think, and I don't think a lot of people do. Fucking barred out.
Because people don't want to take that self-time. I tell everybody, I told it on my last podcast, everybody needs to take themselves on a self-date. Now, people may think that's weird. Let me explain once again what a self-date is. A self-date is where you take personal time in your whole day, whether it's after work, a weekend, whatever. You go to a nice place. You treat yourself, basically, however you may, whether it's getting a manicure, pedicure, whether you go to the movies, but take yourself out to eat. Have a dinner by yourself. You may feel like it's awkward, like everybody's looking at you, but at the same time, you shouldn't care because it's your life you're living, and you take that time out to think about your life and how you're doing, what you're doing to progress, who you are as a person, how people may view you as a person, what you want to accomplish in the next years to come or the next day, what you've done in the past that you want to make sure you pass down to your children or your nephew, your niece, whatever it may be, and you reflect on who makes you. Because the only person, the most influential person for yourself is yourself. At the end of the day, you could try to take all these people who are doing great in their lives with all these quotes and whatever, but at the end of the day, it's only you that can make yourself feel better with that self-esteem. That's why they call it self-esteem. You gotta build it in yourself to find yourself to be rejuvenated and re-up in life. Yeah, you got to be happy with yourself before you can try to make other people happy, which a lot of people don't try to do because they don't take that time for themselves. They always want to be with a bunch of people. They want to have somebody right there to talk to. I'm like, no, talk to yourself. It'll help. Just figure it out. Try to figure it out first for yourself. Take
I
some
think
time.
talking to yourself makes you crazy. I mean, and that's just, I think I do it too much.
Well, if you do too much of talking to yourself, that's one thing. But if you're problem solving with yourself, that's something else.
Okay.
See, problem
Well,
solving is
that's
something else.
That's a good perspective to take on it. I'll take
Yeah.
that into account.
Yeah, that's why I thought like
Sometimes
problem
I'll
solving.
just be locked. Sometimes I'll just be locked up in my room chilling. I'll just be smoking, making music for like a 2-3 day period. I won't even go to sleep. Like, shit. And it's just like I'm, just constantly having to keep myself in my zone because I used to live with like a couple of musicians and we like just make music. I had a music group back in the day and stuff, and all of this really cool shit. But nothing like I was never really trying to blow up. I really just did it because I really love just freestyling, breaking, making music, and then once I got my shit and I made my crew, we was literally just making different songs whenever we got together, and then we all gone through our different journeys through life, and it ended up taking its turn. But I'm still doing my thing. I know my guy Elijah is still doing his thing. Shouts out to him, Elijah 97. He also is like, we've kind of had this, just how me and you are talking about this conversation. He's another brother who's a young man, black man, married now too, but he's doing his thing, and he's just trying to make it out here, man, just like we are.
And that's all we can do is live our lives to the best life because you get one life, and I want everybody to live it to the fullest. We may not have wanted it, but George Floyd in general was the one we needed to wake our ass up. We didn't want it.
It's almost like the Mockingjay. It's almost like the Mockingjay. In what was that book? The Hunger Games?
Mm-hmm.
The movie? Yeah, I read the book and movie. But, that symbol of like that burning fire that puts something in your heart. Like watching that, man, like when you watch the death of George Floyd, like it literally says something about the person you are, how you feel about it. Now me, like after watching that, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. Like I literally had a big ass plate of some good ass food that I had just cooked in front of my face, and I saw that. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, and then I was just like sitting up thinking, like, why, still, like, how could no one stop him? Why didn't nobody stop him? Like, that was my thing. Like, I couldn't just be there and watch that, for 8 minutes with his hands in his pockets. Like, I'm glad that all 4 of those officers were convicted, but the thing is, it's just like, as a society, how could no one stop that?
Because they try to portray American to be great when we don't even have the proper educational tools in place to even start to be great. Because I have visited other countries. I visited Thailand. Their system is messed up. Thailand, I tell people, I'm like, Thailand is one of those places you visit once and then you're done, because I stayed a week. And when I go on vacation, I don't like to stay in the touristy parts. I want to see it for what it is, for how you live.
Culture. Yeah.
That's what I do, because it's pointless if I just see the tourists. Now, there's some countries where you're like, you can't do that. So I'm like, okay, I can't do that. But it's like, okay, whatever. So I know there I stayed in Bangkok, right in the center of Thailand. And I stayed at this, it was a nice hotel for the most part. But I saw that there was a hotel right in the main street, and then it was the slums, literally just slums. And I could see the river from my hotel, and I know from another window I could see just how, those that metal on the roof stuff is true. I saw that. I saw houses
like the metal roofs, like how they have them like in the man.
Yeah, like in the movies, how they do that, what you see in Brazil and something. Yeah, I was in the projects, basically. I was in the nicer projects, if you want to say. That's how much I wanted to see the culture. I was like, no, I could go to Phuket, where it's a nice island. People greet you, you live right, all inclusive. No, that's not how I wanted it. I wanted to see the real part. And I see they're very religious, and there's a lot of things you can get away with, I'd say, in Thailand that you couldn't get away with in America. is what I learned. But really they're welcoming people to anybody. But they do find it strange when a guy like me, 6'2", American black man walking around, because they don't have too many black people out there. And the monks were laughing at me. I didn't understand what they were saying, but they laughed at me when I was walking up this high ass something. I don't even know what I was walking up, but I walked up it. It was a tourist attraction. I walked up it.
Hey, you did it.
Yeah, I did it. That was the point. And when I went to Switzerland, their government is strict. Their government is straightforward. There's a reason they're able to be a neutral country without relying on anybody, right in the heart of problems, because they sit right between Germany, Italy, and France, with Russia right above. So they're kind of they're in the middle, but they're neutral all around, and they're the most welcoming people in the world. I tell everybody, go to Switzerland in your life. You'll feel so welcome. You won't see a lot of black people, but damn it, they're the most welcoming people, and they just want to get to know you. Honestly, everybody wants to have a conversation. It's amazing. They all assume you either speak French or German. So I'm just like, man. I went over there with my friend because she lives out there, and she's the nicest person I ever met. I got to meet some of her buddies. Man, the food is great. Everybody's skinny because of their.
What's the food like?
It's what people don't know is that their refrigerators. If you take a normal American refrigerator, any kind of a refrigerator, you might as well cut it in half and put the freezer, like those bottom freezers that some people have on the bigger refrigerators, put that at the top. That's exactly how big a Swiss fridge is, where you can't put a lot of food to store for like a whole week or for months on end. They don't have deep freezers like that. You have to
So
go.
they just have like your fridge is like a box, basically.
Yep, with enough to feed yourself for at least 2 days, and then you have to go shopping because there's nothing like there's no steroids, antibiotics, none of that. It's all freshly grown in their country, so you're not getting all that processed trades and stuff
They
that
got
they go
everything
through.
right there.
Yeah, so they do trades, but they mostly grow everything in their own backyard in their country, and it's not even that big of a country.
Man, that's great.
You could travel the
That's
whole
great.
country in 4 hours.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
smaller than Cali.
Yep, and they don't have ground beef, turkey, none of that. They use veal. And a lot of people don't know, veal is the leanest meat and healthiest meat you can have.
Now, when you talk
That
about
meat.
veal, like talking lamb.
Yes.
Oh, I love lamb.
See, a lot of people be like, ew, no. I'm like, that's all McDonald's serves you out there. Everything out there, there's no drive-thrus. Everything you got to walk in and it's made to order. Everything.
Wow.
It's
That's actually pretty
the
cool.
cleanest and healthiest country. Let me put it this way. My friend's old roommate, he said it is hard to be homeless in Switzerland because of the rules that are in place. Because the rule they have is if you lose your job in any way, shape, or form, you lose your job, okay? That's what happens. Okay, you have a family. They take a look at your income, how much you were bringing in, what you paid for, and everything. The government helps you automatically find a new job and to help you, whether it's rent, groceries, helping your baby get diapers, helping the mom at the house, whatever. Because they don't want you to be homeless as a statistic. They want you to keep working, whatever it may be. So the government actually helps you a lot with that, and especially with their college students, they help with housing and everything, with the groceries. They give you an allowance almost. As long as you're doing school and you're working, they give you an allowance. So
That's crazy.
that's why I tell people, I'm like, Switzerland, y'all need to check out what they're doing, because they don't play about that. They doing good.
No, I mean, it sounds like, because honestly, we kind of have not necessarily similar services, because honestly, dealing with the unemployment is a bitch, because I had a job and then due to Corona, got laid off and shit, and I just got a fucking response back from the things, and it's been 3 months. That's ridiculous. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, like, so we do have kind of similar services to that in America, but I feel like out there they probably at least just care more. Like, whereas we got really like Trump right now and a law system that's really made to oppress people, you know. well, not necessarily made to oppress people because we do have certain freedoms, but the way that it's used, rather the people enforcing it, the police officers or policy enforcers, those people skew that law to kind of, just fuck with us for no reason or for their reasons.
And we gotta better appoint those people because they think the presidency is the only election that matters. I'm like, no, there's an election every 2 years. If y'all don't know,
Yeah.
And that's where you choose your senator, governor, senate of the house. Those are the people you want to. Those little things.
Can never get
because people think
because you have a Republican or Democratic president, but if it's a Democratic president, all Republican members of the Senate and all Republican members of the House, and then it's just like, okay, well, the president can't do shit.
Exactly.
Everybody's voting against him. Everybody's voting against him.
Like the president can say, "Oh, I want to make this law." You do realize it's got to pass through two other. It's got to pass through the House and it's got to pass through the judicial. It ain't that simple where the president says that's law. No, that's called a dictatorship. And we don't have
bro. Everybody need to watch that Schoolhouse Rock. I'm just a bit.
Yep, it explains how it all flows through because if one says no, maybe it can get overturned, but at the end of the day, it's going to go right back to where it was. Like, it's got to be redone. Like, that's why it takes so long. The only one I don't understand is the one they just passed. Is the anti-lynching law. I'm like, it took you 100 years to figure out whether you can or cannot hang people publicly.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
really
fucking. But it's because no one pushed for it, really. I mean, like, in the 60s, we were just pushing for our goddamn rights, to fucking be a people and vote and different kinds of shit. So now we have to push for more and even more justices. And to be honest, I'm not the most well-read on all this shit, but I need to, along with other people, read up on it and get better informed on what's going on and the changes that we can make and start making them. You know what I mean?
Yep, can't change the world unless you change yourself.
That is true.
It's one thing at a time people don't understand.
And yeah, this gonna go hard. Hold on real quick. I'm gonna reopen it real quick. I run through Logic. That's what I mix and master all my tracks and sometimes produce. I've barely been getting into producing. I got a bass, little keyboard, a guitar, ukulele, a couple of little instruments I be messing with just from time to time. So this one you might fuck with. Phone mic is kind of fucked up. Hold on.
You could just drop a verse from right now, what you know.
Huh?
You could just drop a verse of what you know right now.
Alright, so I said, it's the grip riding around all through the city, strapped up, police tripping, niggas tripping. I just hope my fam up. I've been out here, gotta get it. Any means, mask on, mask off for so long, and it ain't cause corona. I'm really a soldier, I've been chilling, about to go nuts. They really thought that I was off the map, I'm about to blow up. It's crazy how just time changes things that you thought was so good. Swear I'm ahead of my time, the clock that wine is frozen. Hey, it's summertime, but I'm about to go dumb. Quarantine, what I'm inside can't be contained by no one. Talking about the Holy Spirit, talking about the ocean, it flow hard when I go in, so I'm locked inside your fulcrum. Focus like the vision is, a vision very potent. I see my squad as kings and queens at the bottom, but it's flipped over. Now we on top and we in control. Everybody winning, no more broken homes, no more brothers missing, no more sisters hoes. Yeah, we gotta get it, it's a long road, yeah. This is for the OGs, for the old team, this is for the whole team, yeah. I said this for the OGs, for the whole team, this is for the whole team, huh? I just want to see everybody eat, cause growing up, man, I was poor, but I had seen some worse than me. And often I missed a meal or two, often I ate for free. Thank God for access cars and lunch meat. Mama, she did provide, and my pop surely raised the G. Even though you ain't been there all my life, you tried to be, and I'm thankful for it. That's why I'm looking for it. I know if you can make it out the city, I could try. I know that you survived all you did just to see me shine. So I respect your time, stay on my grind, keep my fire. I never ever let a pussy nigga stomp me out. I remember my heritage, it sometimes get me down. But I'ma make you proud, young Syre coming out. Yeah.
All right, no, it's good. It's
I feel
good.
like
That's what we like to hear. We just want a little taste around here, just a little something. Can't give you the whole thing. You gotta get the whole thing online. So you ain't nothing here free. You know what I'm saying? For closing
I mean,
remarks, what would you want your legacy to be known in your life for everybody to know you as?
uh, well, I mean, whether I'm remembered as like a hero or a villain, I just want to be known as a man that lived with good intentions.
All
That's
right,
basically it.
simple
I mean, like
man.
I'd like to have, an massive fortune if possible through business and stuff. But hey, if it never works out and I end up, just being a normal guy, just doing my same thing, my music, smoking my weed, you know, just working, doing my shit, putting on for my family, then let that be, and that's just how it's gonna be. But if I'm able to, develop my skills and continue growing as a chef and continue growing as a musician and people with the world actually really fucks with what I do, then that actually does start happening and, I really do start doing the things that I really like to see, like opening up, a couple of different schools somewhere or, like just having a couple different restaurants that serve like really great, amazing soul food and food from all different kinds of places. Just little things that I've experimented in the kitchen and created. Like, that would be really cool too. So either way it happens, I'm just taking life as it goes, day by day.
Nothing wrong with that. That's how I do it, one day at a time, because you can't predict the future. You can prepare for it. How I go by is what Lil Wayne said: prepare for the worst, but still praying for the best, because that's all you can do. Because if you're prepared for the worst, so when the worst comes, you've already got a shield up to how to protect yourself and others. But if you're only hoping for the best and prepare for the best, but you didn't prepare for, like this corona, a lot of businesses aren't there anymore because they didn't
Yeah.
prepare, they
I
didn't
mean,
expect it.
honestly, that's why I think it was created, because there needs to be a business deregulation of all of these fake businesses that are going around, honestly, just following the trend and not necessarily doing anything, essential, which is why all of these essential businesses are staying open, because it's America, we're a consumerist economy. So we got all of these different, just extra shit that people don't really need open all the damn time.
Yeah, we
So
don't
all you
need
got to do is
15 of
trash.
the same pizza restaurants on the same block open that do the
I
exact
mean,
same
no, we
thing.
don't.
Like,
I mean, it's just like, that's why when it's like in hard times you see kind of what life is really like. I mean, in the good times you see the benefits of life, but like in the hard times you see like what life is really made of, and life will shit on you. So you have to be able to. You gotta have your pooper scooper, and you gotta be happy to clean that shit up and keep going.
and that's how it's gotta be in life. If I could
Yeah,
leave you
for
with anything else, I'll leave y'all with this. For anyone listening, for anyone that may be just using me as background noise, whether you on the toilet, whether you in a car, or whether you're hearing me from behind somebody else at a cashier's office. No matter what life throws at you, you got to be able to get up. No matter how hard it may get, or you don't see anything on the other side, I promise you, there's already something setting up on the other side. Now, whether you are religious or not, have your own beliefs, believe that you gotta make your own way, make your own future, or you believe God has a path for you, either way you believe it, you have to set yourself up in order to get where you going. Because prayer without work is dead. A lot of people pray for it, but they won't work towards it. And a lot of people will just sit there and work towards it and then stop because they're not seeing results as fast as they want to. This podcast is built on faith and pureness. I want to help people, give people the opportunities. I'm not bullshitting with anybody. If I don't like you, I won't have you on here. Because guess what? At the end of the day, this is mine. I'm the CEO. I'm the founder. I run this shit on here. So if I'm not feeling what you're saying, or if we're going back and forth way too much, and you can't agree to a degree, I don't mind disagreeing at all. Like I said before, this is a debate. This is a civil conversation. We can debate all day, but you're not finna argue with me over something I know to be factual. I will try to correct you so I can expend the knowledge to you and expand your mind. But if you're not willing to take the critique and be like, okay, I see where he's coming from, and drop it right there, you don't need to be here. And that's all it's about. Got to be able to take critique in life. Because if you can't take it, you're going to be on your own. And 9 times out of 10, people doing it on their own and not willing to learn, they don't make it. That's why they're nobody. You said, what Young Ma said? He said, what's the name you consider who is a threat? Exactly. Nobody. Because you're nobody. And that's why I'm here and you're staying down there. You got to have people in your corner that's willing to fight with you. And I'm not going to hold y'all no more longer. I'm going to go ahead and close y'all out. This has been Lil Snoopy on the track. 1, 2. I had to talk. I had to say what was on my mind. I'm going to let this brother real quick shout out his Instagram, where to find his projects, how to follow him, whether it be Snap, Insta, Facebook, or Twitter. However, he may go ahead and shout it out for the people so they know.
Y'all can follow me on Instagram. _ Judah 100. I got a tape coming out pretty soon. It's gonna be called Black Sun Rising, and I'm dropping a single for it on the 17th on my brother's birthday, and that's actually next week, next Wednesday. So check it out. I'm on SoundCloud. I'm gonna be on all platforms soon. Stay tuned. Get it.
Indeed, and always remember. Love, peace, and hair grease. I'll see y'all next time. Hellfire.